Listen to me closely. Your ancestors' silence wasn't just a well-kept family secret. It was a tactical blueprint for your own trauma. For generations, high-control religious structures and broken family systems have weaponized shame to keep you compliant and quiet. But the cycle stops right here, right now, with you. Welcome. Today, we are talking about generational trauma recovery. It is time to strip away the manufactured mask, stop paying rent to the ghost of your past, and reclaim your divine authority through radical, unapologetic honesty. Let's get to work, folks.
Welcome to the Transform You live show.
Welcome to the Transform You live show. I'm your host, Marcus Hart. And if you are new to the broadcast, I need you to understand the set of rules of engagement right off the bat. Our mission here is simple, but it is not easy. Inspire, ignite, transform. Those aren't just cute buzzwords we slap on a graphic. That is a tactical sequence. We inspire you to wake up and see the absolute reality of your situation. We ignite the fire inside of you that the world and maybe even the church try to drown out. And we transform the wreckage of your past into a massive, unshakable fortress for your future. We bring forth faith-fired takes on urban chaos, shameless Jesus love, and the gritty, unfiltered street strategy that you actually need to survive and thrive. Because, let's be brutally honest today, polished Sunday morning religion does not survive contact with real-world trauma. You need something a lot more heavier. Now, as a combat veteran and as a journalist who's seen just about anything you can imagine in the U.S. Army, and as an ordained minister, I've seen warfare on multiple fronts. I've seen it in the dirt overseas. I know what it smells like. I know what an ambush looks like. But let me tell you a hard truth. I've also seen it in the pews right here at home. I have seen the exact same tactics of manipulation, isolation, and psychological control used in the sanctuary that I saw in a combat zone. Sometimes, the absolute hardest combat you will ever see isn't wearing camouflage overseas. It's the silent war for your own mind. It's the battle for your family's future, fought at your own kitchen table at 2 a.m. when the anxiety hits and you feel completely invisible. Today, we are merging gritty spiritual warfare with real-world strategy. We're going to talk about breaking the chains that were wrapped around your ankles before you were even born. Some of you are exhausted right now, and you don't even know fully why. I tell you why. You are fighting battles your grandfather started, but never had the tools to finish. You are carrying the heavy, rusted armor of your grandmother's silence. You have inherited a psychological survival mechanism that you do not need anymore. But your subconscious mind is still running the program. The system trained you to stay quiet, to play it small, and to hide all of your scars. We are talking about generational curses, but I really need you to hear me clearly. We are not doing this just with a quick emotional altar call or a passive prayer. A prayer without strategy is just a wish, and the enemy doesn't respect none of your wishes. We are breaking these chains with deliberate, tactical lifestyle shifts. We are replacing their toxic programming with your own kingdom authority. We are stepping out of the audience, out of the victim mindset, and onto the battlefield as seasoned commanders. How does that sound? Does that sound good? If it sounds good, I want you to leave a like right now and drop a comment that it feels good. We are turning ancient, inherited chaos into a resilient, authentic legacy for the next generation. And what's cool about this is that your kids are not going to fight the same demons that you defeat today. That buck is going to stop with you. And I'm going to be very happy for you. Once I see you come out of this, I want you to come out of this. The era of being the best kept secret, folks, is over. Transformers, the era of playing small to make toxic people comfortable ends today. If you are tired of merely surviving the ambush, if you are truly ready to stop retreating, claim your high ground and start commanding your field. Lock in, grab your notebook, let's get to work right now. Let's get something straight right out of the gate. We throw around phrases like generational trauma recovery a lot these days. It sounds great on a podcast. It looks great on a trendy Instagram graphic. But I need you to understand that this isn't just some psychological buzzword or a self-help trend. It is biology. It is a physiological reality playing out in your bloodstream right now. Science calls it epigenetics. Listen to me. The stress, the terror, the poverty, the systemic oppression, and the abuse that your grandparents and great-grandparents survived didn't just give them all the bad memories. It literally left a chemical mark on their DNA. It altered the expression of their genes, which changed the way your nervous system develops today. Think about that for a second. Have you ever wondered why your baseline anxiety is always sitting at an 8 out of a 10? Why you wake up exhausted before your feet even hit the floor? Have you ever wondered why you have an extreme 0 to 60 fight or flight response just because someone raises their voice in the other room? Or why the sound of a slamming door sends your heart rate through the roof? The world will tell you that's a character flaw. The church might have even told you it's a spirit of fear. But I am telling you, it is an inherited survival mechanism. Your ancestors needed that hyper-vigilance to survive their environment. If your grandfather was fighting in a war, or your grandmother was navigating a profoundly abusive home where she had to walk on eggshells just to stay alive, their bodies adapted. Their brains learned to scan the room for threats 24/7. And they passed that hyper-vigilant software right down to you. The problem is you are trying to use wartime software in a peacetime body. You are reacting to a digital email from your boss with this exact same cortisone spike your grandfather used to survive a physical ambush. But here's the kingdom truth. And this is where the enemy loses his grip on your bloodline. What is genetically inherited can be spiritually and practically evicted. Biology is real, but the spirit is a higher law. God didn't call you just to manage your family's dysfunction. He didn't save you so you could just cope with the toxic cycles your parents handed down to you. Now, look, I know some of y'all have family trees with so many nuts and shady branches. You can literally open a botanical garden. I'm serious. You sit down at Thanksgiving and it's like a case study in abnormal psychology. You got so many skeletons in your family closet, you could open a chiropractic clinic. But seriously, all jokes aside, He called you to be the pattern breaker. The buck stops with you. You are the one who looks at the biological and spiritual baggage of the last four generations and says, SS denied. This stops here. But to do that, you have to look at the systems that kept the trauma in place. And that brings us to the hardest part of this conversation. Now, let's talk about the church's role in this. Because if we are going to be completely honest, we cannot talk about deep, lasting healing without talking about overcoming spiritual abuse. For decades, a lot of high demand groups, toxic congregations, and manipulative leaders have taught us to just pray away what actually needed to be processed in therapy. They spiritualize your trauma so they wouldn't have to deal with your humanity. You weren't just dealing with normal life stresses. You were dealing with high control trauma. You were in environments where leaders, and I mean leaders with air quotes, use the Bible not as a shepherd's staff to guide and protect you, but as a billy club to keep you in line. Think about the messaging you have absorbed. They told you that your clinical depression was just a lack of faith. They told you that setting a boundary with your toxic parents was a violation of the commandment to honor your father and mother. Essentially telling you that honoring them meant submitting to their abuse. They manufactured these heavy, suffocating religious masks and handed them out right at the door every Sunday. The unspoken rule was put the mask on, sit in a pew, pay your tithes, smile, serve in ministry, and eventually the bleeding will stop. That is a straight up lie from the pits of hell. God is not glorified by your fake smile while your soul is bleeding out. Authentic faith does not require you to amputate your reality. Look at the life of Jesus. Jesus didn't just walk around ignoring the pain of the marginalized. He didn't tell the broken to just pray harder. And he didn't tell them to dismiss their suffering. He waded right into the mud with them. He touched the leopard. He wept with Mary and Martha. Faith-based resilience is not about pretending everything is fine. It is not about slapping a scripture verse on a gaping wound and calling it healed. True resilience is looking at the absolute catastrophe wreckage of your inherited trauma, staring at those shattered pieces of your family history and saying, God is bigger than this mess, and I'm going to partner with him to clean it on up. It means doing the hard work. It means going to therapy. It means having the uncomfortable conversations. It means letting the toxic religious systems go so you can actually find the real Jesus outside of the walls of their control. So how do we actually execute this? How do we take all this pain, Transformers, all this baggage, all this church hurt, and actually execute generational trauma recovery in our daily lives? You weaponize radical honesty. Let me explain the physics of generational curses. The enemy's greatest, most effective asset in your family line has always been silence. What is the one rule every dysfunctional family has? Think about it. What happens in this house stays in this house. Does that sound familiar? Because I know it does. I didn't heard that countless times in my childhood and even in my adulthood. That single phrase has protected more abusers, hidden more addictions, covered up more infidelity, and destroyed more destinies than almost anything else in human history. Silence is the absolute dark room where generational trauma develops. So, how do we break the cycle? I'm glad you asked. You start by opening your mouth. You open your mouth and you turn the lights on. You break the family code of silence. And I know that's hard. I know, trust me, I know it's hard. But when you start speaking the truth about what you have survived, you immediately strip the enemy of his power. Ooh, that sounds good, doesn't it? He thrives in the shadows. He controls you through the shame of keeping a secret. But the moment you speak it out loud, the moment you say, this happened to me, it was wrong, and I refuse to carry the shame for it anymore, that chain will surely snap after that. It would snap, folks. It will absolutely snap. When you do this, you step into a new tribe. You are no longer part of the silent masses. You are no longer the victim sitting in the back pew waiting for permission to exist. You are part of an elite unit of truth tellers. You are building an authentic Christian legacy. As a U.S. Army veteran, I know exactly what it means to fight for the person standing next to you. And as a father of 7, I look at my kids, I look at their faces, and I know with every fiber of my being that my ceiling has to be their floor. Yeah. I absolutely refuse to hand my children the same heavy, rusted armor of silence and trauma that I was forced to wear. Nope. See, I will take the bullets of being misunderstood by my extended family, even if it means my kids get to walk in freedom. This is exactly why we do what we do at the Transform Your Media Network and with this podcast. We are not just running a podcast. We are not just putting out media. We are actually building an army of cycle breakers. We don't just want you to survive your trauma. That's easy. Surviving, though, is just the bare minimum. We actually want you to have a platform. Because when you speak, when you write that book, when you launch that show, when you share your testimony with radical honesty, you give the person coming up right behind you the exact blueprint they need to get free. There's so many of us running away from that. So many. Your survival story is the tactical manual for someone else's liberation. Y'all got to stop holding back. Y'all got to stop letting the ghosts of your past dictate the volume of your voice today. You got to stand up. You got to speak your truth. And with that, we can break this matrix together. We absolutely can. We are at the end of the line today. We have covered a massive amount of ground. We have looked at the biology. We looked at the spiritual abuse. And we looked at the tactical requirement of radical honesty. But before we close out this broadcast, I need to ask y'all a very specific very uncomfortable question. I want you to I want you to go down to the comment section of this video right now, and I want you to answer this. Answer this for me. What was the one unspoken toxic rule in your family that you are actively breaking today? Maybe that rule was we never question the pastor, even if he's wrong. Maybe the rule was protect the family image at all costs, even if it means hiding the abuse. Maybe it was simply we don't talk about our feelings. We just go to work and suffer in silence. I know you guys have heard these rules before. I know it. That's why I need you to drop it in the comments. And I'm not just asking you to do this for the algorithm. Though, yes, let's get the algorithm pushing real truth to the people who are currently suffocating in the dark. They need this information too. But I am asking you to do this for you. That's right, for you. Because when you write it down, you evict. When you write it down, you evict it from your subconscious. You drag that demon out of the shadows and you put it in the light. And here is the beautiful tactical reality of the kingdom. Your courage to name that toxic rule today might be the exact key that unlocks someone else's prison cell tomorrow. Think about that. I really want you to think about that. Someone is going to scroll through these comments and then they're going to read your Pacific truth and then realize for the very first time in their life that they are not crazy and that they are not alone. Listen to me. Generational trauma recovery is not a spectator sport. It is not something you achieve by just watching a YouTube video, nodding your head, and then going back to business as usual. It requires deliberate, offensive action. You have survived the ambush. The smoke is clear, folks. Transformers, you have done the hard work of securing the spiritual high ground. You realize that you are no longer in the kill zone. But staying out of the kill zone is not the final objective. Now, it is time to turn the absolute wreckage of your past, those broken relationships, the church hurt, the sleepless nights, into unshakable fortress of your future. Absolutely. I know exactly who I'm talking to right now. And you are tired. You are beyond tired. You are tired of being the best kept secret in your industry. You are tired of being the most spiritually matured, the battle tested person in the room, yet completely invisible. You scroll through social media and you watch these loud, polished amateurs holding the microphone. You watch people with a fraction of your lived experience, no real scars, and zero actual grit. And they're commanding millions of views and building these massive platforms off of nothing. Off of nothing. And then you sit there, decades of hard-won, blood-stained wisdom, staying completely silent. Why? Humility Because because the religious system taught you that being humble means staying in the back of the room. Because the trauma convinced you that if you stand up and speak, you will be attacked again. The amateur has the microphone. And they have that microphone because that amateur had the audacity to speak. It's time for you to deploy. You have to transition your identity. You cannot stay a wounded soldier forever, Transformers. A wounded soldier belongs in the medical tent, recovering. And there is a season for that also. But that season is over for you. I'm declaring it right now. It is time to transition from a wounded soldier to a seasoned commander. And every commander, they require two things. They require a strategy and a base of operations. And you cannot command a movement from the shadows. You cannot build an authentic Christian legacy if no one can hear your voice. I don't know where they can do that at. You tell me, where can they do that at? And that's exactly why I built the Transform You Media Network. As a founder, a podcaster, and a media content creator, my mission wasn't just to talk into a microphone. My friends, Transformers, it was to build an infrastructure for the cycle breakers like you. I want you to go to the link in the description right now. I want you to claim your spot in the Transform Your Media Network news contributor package. This is not just another online course. It's not. This, in fact, is a deployment order. When you join the contributor package, you get immediate access to the Authority Launchpad. We teach you how to take the raw, unfiltered truth of what you survived, and we show you exactly how to package it into an undeniable market authority. And we bypass the gatekeepers. We don't ask the toxic systems for permission to speak. We actually verify your voice. We give you the SEO strategy, and we provide the actual media platform to broadcast your truth to the masses. You become a verified contributor on the network that stands for truth, grit, and radical faith. I'm going to slow this thing on down. Look at me. I want you to really look at me. Our ancestors survived things you cannot even imagine. And they did it just so you could have the breath in your lungs today. But they had to stay silent to survive. That was the only problem. And guess what? You do not. You live in an era where you have the power to broadcast your voice to the entire globe from the palm of your hand. You have a mandate. And I don't want you to let the silence of your ancestors dictate the volume of your future. Most importantly, do not let the system that tried to break you be the only one writing the history books. You take the pen. You claim the microphone. You secure your position today. Hit that link in the description. Join the network. And let's start building your platform. I'm Marcus Hart. Keep breaking those patterns. Keep speaking the truth. Keep building that unbreakable legacy. Many blessings, peace, and lots of love. Until next time, I'm out.